Come. We'll go right into it, and then we'll call him the second round. What was your name again? Antonio. Okay. We're going to do, read one scripture through, and then we're going to call you the second round up. All right. We're in Genesis 38. Shalom, Israel, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Barakatan. To all the Akim, all the brothers out there, and then to all the sisters, Yahweh, Shamar, Alathan, Ba'ashem, Yahushua. And then just the greetings to everybody around the world. This is the Sabbath Service from Baltimore, and we are going to continue our story. We are in the story about Joseph, and I know pretty much that should be a familiar story with most of us growing up about Joseph's story. Joseph's brothers pretty much sold him into slavery. Can anybody tell me why Joseph's brothers did not like Joseph? Anybody know why? I mean, pretty much, anybody remember? What was the reason why?
Joseph's brothers didn't like Joseph because he was the favorite son of his father Jacob.
He was the favorite son of his father Jacob.
And also because of the dreams that he had, kind of sounded like that he would be above his brothers and his father.
So his brothers, pretty much were jealous of that. They didn't like the fact that, he seemed like he was a know-it-all. And they were pretty much like, who do you think you are? And so his brothers, his 10 brothers, because, there are 12 tribes of Israel. His younger brother, Benjamin, was younger at this time. Joseph was about 17 years old. And so his brother Benjamin was a lot younger than him. And he had his 10 older brothers, which are the tribes, which are the fathers of the tribes of Israel. All right. Does anybody, I got to test everybody every week. Does anybody want to take a stab at it? Take a shot at it and tell me the 10 tribes of Israel before Joseph. Anybody know them? I mean, they're behind me, but let's see if you can name them in order. Anybody know them? I mean, I know Officer Karan knows them. He's like the best. All right. Anybody want to take a guess? All right. Well, the 12 tribes you had. Reuben was the firstborn. After Reuben was Simeon. After Simeon was Levi. And then you had Judah. Those were the 4 oldest sons of Leah. And then Bilhah. Yep. Okay. So you had the firstborn was Reuben. Reuben was the firstborn. After Reuben was Simeon. After Simeon was Levi. And after Levi was Judah. Those are the 4 oldest brothers of the tribes of Israel. Okay, and they all came from Leah. Remember, Leah was the older sister of Rachel. Remember, Jacob wanted to marry Rachel, but the father gave him Leah first. Okay, and because Rachel could not conceive, she gave Bilhah, her handmaid, to Jacob. And from that became Dan. After that was Dan and Naphtali. Okay, they were the next 2. And then when Leah saw that, she gave him Ziplah or Zilpah. All right, I'm saying her name probably a little bit incorrect. And she had Gad and Asher. Okay, so that was the next 8. And then after that, Leah conceived again, and she had Issachar and Zebulun. Okay. So those are the 10 tribes. And then finally Rachel conceived and she had Joseph. And then she finally conceived and had Benjamin. Benjamin was the youngest. And when she had when she had Benjamin, she died. Okay. All right. So we're continuing the story. Let's go ahead and pick up the story. This is the story talking about one of the sons, the 4th eldest son, Judah. And how he goes off and has children and gets married. All right, so we're reading in Genesis 38. We're reading 7 through 13. We always read in the Hebrew first. and then we'll read it in the English. Genesis 38, verse 7. Genesis 38, verse 7 in the Hebrew. Wayahaya, Ar, Bakawar, Yahawada, Rai, Ba'ayanya, Yahweh, Wayamastawa, Yahweh, verse 8. Wayamar, Yahawada, Nun, Ba'a, Ashah, Akyaka, Bayawam, Atha, Bahakwam, Zerai, La Akyaka, verse 9. Verse 9. Wayadai, Awa, Nun, Kaya, La'a, Lawa, Yahaya, Hara'ai, Hazarai, Slakia, Wahaya, Ba'a, All,
38 and 7.
Ashaf, Akyawa, Washakaf, Aratazawha, Salakia, Aratazaha, Labalafia, Nathan, Zerai, La'akyawa, verse 10.
Yeah, verse 10.
Genesis chapter 38, verse 10. Wayarai, Ba'ayanya, Yahweh, Ashar, Ashah, Wayamath, Gum, Athwab. Verse 11. Wayamar, Yahawada, Lathamar, Kalathwa, Shabya, Alamana, Bayath, Abiyak, I, Yagadal, Shalab, Bunya, Kaya, Amar, Pun, Yamawath, Gum, Awa, Ka'akyawa, with a lock, Thamar, with a shah, Bayath, Abiyak. Verse 12. Wayarabwa, Hayamyam, with a math, Bath, Shawai, Shaf, Yahawada, Waya Nakam, Yahawada, Waya Al, Gazazia, Taza Anwa, Hawa, Waha Yara, Ra'ai Hawa, Ha'aidalamya, Thama Natha, verse 13, Waya God, Lathamar, La'amar, Hana, Kamayad, as Kamayak, slack it. Ayla, Thamana Tha, Lagaz, Taza Anwa. And that's it. All right, we're going to go now read. We're in Genesis chapter 38. We're reading verses 7 through 13. We're going to read that in the English now.
Genesis chapter 38, verse 7. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. Verse 8. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed in thine brother.
Stop right there for a second. So anciently, if somebody passed away, let's say your brother, let's say your brother passed away, and you as the brother were supposed to go to his wife so that you could raise up your brother's seed. Okay, that's usually how it was anciently, so that your brother's seed could carry on. Okay, so that's how they did it. That's why Judah told his son Onan, his son died, he was wicked, and he told his son Onan to go into his wife so that she could raise up his brother's seed, so his brother could have a line as well. Okay, that's why it was. So his brother's seed, especially anciently, it was important for your seed to continue. Okay, it was important. So you could pretty much come back. So your DNA could continue, your line. Okay, keep going. The one.
Verse 9. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilt it on the ground, lest he should give seed to his brother.
Okay, so Onan had a selfish spirit. He didn't want his brother's seed to continue. So pretty much, when he was sleeping with, his brother's, his former brother's wife, his brother's former wife, he did not do what he was supposed to do, what the Lord commanded him. Okay, and he spilled the seed on the ground, and that was not following directions. So we'll see what the Lord does to him. Go ahead.
Sir.
Come on.
And like the better that like not to be repeat what he said, but we gotta understand that when we die, our spirit goes back up to the Most High, and he sends it back down into the earth under your seed, under your sons. You know what I'm saying? So you get a chance to be reborn back into the earth under your same bloodline. This is why it's important for you to have an inheritance. You know what I mean? So you could be reborn back under your same inheritance. When you teach your children this truth, that'll get passed down to you when you get reborn back under your same line. And also right here, sir, if I may, well, Onan in the scripture in the Christian church, it says that when they read this part right here about Onan, they say that he masturbated, and that's why, you know.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. The Christian church says that?
Yeah, the Christian church says that this is a scripture to say why it is a sin to masturbate. But right here, you know, as the other one just read, he never masturbated. He had sex with her, and then he pulled out and spilled the seed on the ground. Well, I mean, that's how you know the Christian church don't know what they talking about. They just saying anything.
I didn't know that. Learn something new. Come.
In the world, before we come to the truth, white man told us that when we die, we got one life. We're the same people that was here more time than the world.
That don't count.
The spirit is there forever. The body happens to you. If you die right now, you coming back again. If you die, you coming again. So, anybody, whatever tribe you're from, you stay in the same tribe, right?
Count.
If you're a man, you stay a man. A woman, a woman, right?
Count.
So, Christian church is lied to us. Everything about our life, they took away to give us something else. This is why niggas go so hard, man. We only live once. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get out and get down. You know what I'm saying? In the world. If you've been here before, plenty of times. You know, come. If you've been here plenty of times, we're gonna keep coming back to side of the little kingdom.
Count. And also to add to that, that's why we had some of the greatest warriors, because we wasn't scared of death. You know what I'm saying? We knew that we would be reborn back in, so we went all in. That's why we looked amazing out there doing some of the things we did, because we gave it all for the Most High, because we knew he was going to bring us back down. And also, if you find yourself in here, we also say that means in one of your lives, you was here before. Like, it's not just a coincidence that you find yourself in the truth out of everybody in the world. You know what I'm saying? You find yourself as a prophet up here. That means what the scripture says, that the spirit of the prophet is subject to the prophet. That's what I was thinking. Meaning that you will always be a prophet. It's you were meant to be here. You was that back then. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, as the world got destroyed more and more, you find us in the hood. You know what I mean? Working through our demons just to make it to this point. But calm.
But still die. As long as you know you're doing right by the Lord, you're coming back good. So yeah, you did it like
calm.
Right. You still you doing the most time to do it. Your life you took it so bad, you coming back strong again. I mean, they have a reason to be scared. You're not scared. It's true. You shouldn't be scared.
Calm.
Our life is fight for the Lord. That's one of the greatest depths you can ever get. Like online, when you're in camp, if something happens, you gotta give your life to your brother. That's the price of it. That's like the greatest depth you ever give yourself.
Calm.
That's
a good point too. About especially the spirit of the prophets are subject to the prophets. Excellent precept. All right, verse 10. Whenever you read it.
Verse 10. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also.
So the Lord killed him because he didn't do what he was supposed to do. Go ahead.
Verse 11. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at thine father's house, till Shelah, my son, be grown. For he said, lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. Verse 12. And Salaki. And in the process of time, the daughter of Shehu, Judah's wife, died. And Judah was comforted and went up into his sheep spears to Timnath, he and his friend Hira, an Abdullamite. Verse 13. And it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep.
Excellent. All right, so pretty much he told his daughter-in-law to go back to her father's house until his youngest son be born, and then the seed would be raised up by that way. But we'll see what actually happens because of that. All right.
And then Judah's wife passed away.
Judah's wife,
the father of this son that passed, that the Most High unalive both of them. His wife passed away then. So now Judah don't have a wife. His two sons are passed away. His youngest son is set up to go into his previous sons that passed away's wife, which is now a widow, and she is living with her father.
Right. This is just for the people up here. We'll name one more time. And so this is just for the people. Is there a headband down there? Should be a headband down there for it. Oh, you got okay, Con. All right, this is people up here. Money. So would you mind showing Antonio? Antonio, present thyself in thy registry.
Antonio,
Antonio, but Yahweh, but Yahweh. Shabbat. Barakathon. Oh, Barakathon, Salakia. Yahweh Bashim Yahshua Barakathon.
Bashim Yahshua.
Yeshabian needs to be seated. All right, let's go ahead and continue. We're going to be reading Genesis chapter 38. We're going to be reading 14 through 20. We're going to read that in the Hebrews and in the English. Genesis chapter 38, verse 14. With a sar, Bagadya, Alamana, with a Ma'alia, with a ka, with a aya, with a sa'alak, with a shab, pagathak, ayanyam, ashar, al darak, from nafta, kaya, ra'ata, kaya, gadol, shalab, waha, la'a, nathana, lawa, la'asha, verse 15. Wayaraha, it's like a Wayaraha, Yahawada, Rayakashaba, Lazawana, Kaya, Kasata, Hanya, verse 16. Wayat, Aliyah, Al, Hadarak, Wayamar, Habab, Na'a, Abawa, Aliyak, Kaya, La'a, Yadai, Kaya, Kalafwa, with Amar, Ma, the Thun, Laya, Kaya, Tabawa, Oya, verse 17. Waya Amar, Anakia, Ashalak, Gadya, Isayam, Man, Mataza'an, with Amar, the Thun, Irabwan, Shalaka, verse 18. Waya Amar, Ma, Irabwan, Ashar, Athan, Lak, with a Amar, with a Kathumka, with Pathyala, with with a Yolka, with Matka, Ashar, Bayadka, Waya Thun, La, Waya Ba'a, Aliyah, with a Har, Lawa, verse 19, with a Quam, with a Lak, with a Sar, Taza Ayapa, Ba'alayah, with a Labash, Bagadia, Alamana Latha, verse 20, Waya Shalak, Yahawada, Gadia, Yum, Bayad, Ra'ayawa, the Lumya, Lakwa, Lakwa, Rabwan, Bayad, Ha'asha, Wala, Mataza, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is this? All right, let's go ahead and read. You're going to read Genesis chapter 38, 14 through 20. Let me read it. Starting right here in verse 4. Make sure you see the book and the chapter and verse.
The book.
Genesis.
Okay. Genesis.
Chapter 38.
Chapter 38.
Verse 14.
Verse 14. And she put her widow's garments off from her and covered her with a veil and wrapped herself and sit in a open place which is by the way to Timnath.
Uh-huh. Come.
For she saw that she lay was grown and she was not given unto him to wife.
Okay, so Judah's younger son, he became grown, and Judah did not keep his word. Judah was supposed to give his younger son to Tamar, but that didn't happen. Okay, keep going. Verse 15.
Verse 15. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be a harlot because she had covered her face. And he turned into her by the way and said, Go to, I pray thee, let me come into thee. For he knew not that she was this daughter-in-law. And she said, What wilt thou give me that thou mayest come into me?
Okay, so Judah thought that she was a harlot, and pretty much they made a deal. She said, well, you need to give me something. He did not know this was his daughter-in-law. Go ahead. Verse 17.
Verse 17.
Come.
And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, Wouldst thou give me a pledge till thou send it? And he said,
verse 18.
Verse 18. And he said, What pledge shall I give thee? And she said, Thou signet, signet, and thou bracelets, and thy staff that is in thy hand. And he gave it her, and came into her, and she conceived by him. Verse 19. And she arose and went away and laid by her vow from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood. And Judah said, verse 20, and Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend, the Adullamite, to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not.
Okay, well, so what Tamar did is because Judah did not keep his word, because he did not keep his oath and his promise to give her his youngest son, what she did is to continue that seed, she slept with Judah. So that seed could continue. Okay. And Judah did not know because that was his, because she was covered up. Her face was covered. Okay. And she said, well, you need to give me a pledge. And he gave her his staff, his bracelet. He gave me someone, what else? He gave her his staff and bracelet. He gave me one more thing.
The kid. Oh,
right. Okay.
She asked.
Okay. So that was the stuff that he gave to her. Okay. And then he was going to receive the pledge again, but she was not nowhere to be found. All right.
Hey, do anybody know why she asked him for the staff and the bracelet? Anybody? The reason why she go ahead. Not quite. The reason why she asked him, because she was pretty smart, she asked him for the staff and the bracelet so she can have proof that he came into her, because the law was, she was out there like a harlot, and the law was that you would be unalive for that. So this was proof to let it know that that was this too early?
No, you go ahead.
All right, Khan, that
they're gonna show up. Yeah, go ahead.
Khan, that this was that he came into me. You know what I mean? Because if not, later on in the story, you'll know why. I'm gonna leave it right there. Come on.
But yeah, because she knew the law.
Come on. And it was some more stuff, but I won't get it.
Excellent. All right, this is it. All right, just the people up here. Aimania. Mayaka, present thyself in thy registry.
Mayaka Allah, Bangat, Bayashala.
Mayaka Allah, Bangat, Bayashala.
Yahabashin Yasha Brakatan.
Yahabashin Yasha Brakatan. Shabium. All right, let's go ahead and read Genesis chapter 38. We're reading 21 through 27. And then Shalom, Cap. I didn't read Shalom, Cap. We're reading chapter 38, and we're reading 21 through 27 in the Hebrew. Genesis chapter 38, verse 21 in the Hebrew. Where Sha'al, Af, Anashia, Makwama, La'amar, Ayah, Akwadasha, Ba'ayanyam, Al, Hadarak, Wayamarwa, Allah, Hayata, Wazah, Kwadasha, verse 22. Wayashab, Al, Yahawada, Wayamar, La'a, Mataza, Afia, Wagum, Anashia, Hama, Kwawam, Amarwa, La'a, Hayata, Bazah, Kwadasha, verse 23. Wayamar, Yahawada, the Quack, La, Hun, Nahaya, Labawaz, Hana, Shalakafia, Agadia, Mazab, Wa'ata, La'a, Mataza, Ata. Verse 24. Where am I going to? 27. Verse 24. Wayahaya, Kamashalash, Kadashium, Wayagad, La Yahawada, La Amar, Zanata, Tamar, Kalaka, Wagum, Hana, Hara, Lazawanyam, Wayamar, Yahawada, Hawa Taza Ya'awa, Watha Sharak, verse 25. Wa'a, Mawataza Af, Waha Ya, Slaki Waha Ya, Salaka, Al, Kamaya, La Amar, La Yash, Ashar, Allah, Lawa, Anakia, Hara, Watha Amar, Akar, Na'a, Lamya, Lamaya, Slaki, Haka, Samath, Waha Puff, Slaki, Waha Puffaya, Yum, Waha Mata, Ha'Allah, verse 26. Wayakar, Yahawada wa Yamar, Tazadakwa, Tazadakya, it's like it. Mamanya, Kaya, Al, Kan, La'a, Latathya, Lashala, Bunya, Wala'a, Yasa, Iwa, Lada'aita, verse 27. Yahaya, Ba'aith, Ladatha, Wahana, Wamyam, Baba Tana, and that's it. All right, we're going to go ahead and read Genesis chapter 38, verses 21 through 27 in the Hebrew.
Genesis chapter
In the English, the what?
Genesis chapter 38, verse 21. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside? And they said, there was no harlot in this place. Verse 22. And he returned into Judah and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said that there was no harlot in this place. Verse 23. And Judah said, let her take it to her, lest we be ashamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. Verse 24. And it came to pass about 3 months after that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, thy daughter-in-law, hath played the harlot, and also, behold, she is with a child by whoredom. And Judah said, bring her forth and let her be burnt.
Okay, so this is what Officer Corral was talking about, how pretty much, word came out that she played the harlot, and the penalty of playing the harlot was to be unalive. Okay, and that's why, as Officer Corral was saying, she had the staff and the bracelet. She had proof, okay, that that she actually slept with Judah, and this was going to be her proof that you actually slept with me, okay. And one of the reasons is because he did not keep his promise by giving her his youngest son when he was of age, because that was what he said he was going to do. Keep going. All right, Officer Corral, you want to add? All right, go ahead.
Verse 25. When she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man whose deeds are, am I with child? Am I with a child? And she said, discern, I pray thee, whose are these? The signet and bracelets and staff. Verse 26. And Judah acknowledged them and said, she hath been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah, my son, and he knew her again no more.
Okay, so he knew why she did it. He said, because I did not keep my oath and promise and give to her Shelah, my son. Okay, because she was trying to continue that line that his son has. Remember, Ur had died because he did wickedness. So Onan, his brother, was supposed to go into her and have a child to continue Ur's line. And when he did wickedly, the Most High killed him or unalived him. Salakia. And then Judah said, well, I'll give you my youngest son when he's of age. But Judah never did that. So what did she do? She, to continue the son's line, she slept with Judah. Okay? Because he didn't keep his end of the bargain. All right? Keep going.
Verse 27. And it came to pass in the time of her travail that, behold, twins were in her womb.
Excellent. All right, now she having twins too. All right.
So I
Go ahead.
say something. And Salaki, when I read the story, right, and I forgot who went over the story with me, but they was explaining how Tamar was determined, she was determined to follow through with this law and for her husband that was passed away to bring forth his seed, which make it kind of like Tamar was noble, she was righteous. You know what I'm saying? She was one West. She was determined that I have to bring back seed so my husband can be born back into the earth. If she wouldn't have had that zeal and if she wouldn't have had that determination, then you know he wouldn't have been born back. You know what I'm saying? That's how he came back into the earth. You know what I'm saying? Being with her husband, saying, you know, the man that I'm with right now, I want to bring him. I need to bring his seed back. I need to bring him back. You know what I mean? That was, you know, that was. She was a real one, as we would say. You know
excellent point.
okay.
Excellent point. Just the people up here. Hey, Matthew. Ashta, present thyself in thy registry.
Ashta Bangad Banyashala.
Ashta, Bangad Banyashala.
Yahabashmi Ashabaktam.
Yahabashmi Ashabaktam. Shopping. All right, let's go ahead and continue. All right, we're now in Genesis chapter 38. We're reading 28 through 30, and then we're going to pick it up to Genesis 39, 1 through 4. Genesis chapter 38, verse 28 in the Hebrew. Vayahaya, Baladatha, Vayathan, Yad, with a quack, Hamal Daf, with a Quashar, Al, Yadwa, Shunya, La Amar, Za, Yataza, Ra'ashana, verse 29, Vayahaya, Kamashya, Yadwa, Wahana, Yataza, Akiwa, with a Amar, Maha, Parataza, Alyaka, Parataza, Wayakura, Shumwa, Parataza, verse 30. Wa'akar, it says Akiwa, Ashar, Al, Yadwa, Ashunya, Wayakura, Shumwa, Zarak. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 39, verse 1. Yawasak, Harad, Matazarima, Warya Kwana, Waya Kwanhawa, Select, or Paratyapar, Saryas, Parataza, Paraiha, Shar, Tabakyam, Ayash, Tazaria, Mayad, Waya Shemaiah, Yum, was Shemaiah, Ashar, Dahawa, Shema, verse 2. Wayahaya, Yahweh, Yawasa, Wayahaya, Ayaz, Matazaliak, Wayahaya, Wabayath, Adanyawa, Hamatazaria, verse 3. Wayara, Adanyawa, Kaya, Yahweh, Athwa, Wakal, Ashar, Hawa, Aishab, Yahweh, Matazaliak, Bayadwa, verse 4. Waya Mataza, Yawasa, Khan, Ba'ayanyawa, Waya Sharaf, Ahwa, Waya Pakwa Dahwa, Al, Bayahwa, Wakal, Yash, Lawa, Nathan, Bayadwa, and that's it. Okay, we're reading the book of Genesis, chapter 38, verses 28 through 30, and then we're going to jump to Genesis chapter 39, 1 through 4.
Genesis chapter 38, verse 28. And it came to pass when she traveled that one put out his hand, and the midfire took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, This came out first. Verse 29. And it came to pass as he drew back his hand, that behold, his brother came out, and she said, How hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Perez. Verse 30. And afterward came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zerah.
All right, so she had twins. Okay, go ahead.
chapter 39, verse 1. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. Verse 2. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian.
I mean, this is just proof, once again, anytime that we are in a captivity or in some type of captivity, we're the ones that really bless the nation. The nation is really pretty much blessed because of our hands. Okay? It's the same thing throughout history. How these nations have become blessed is because of the work of our hands. It's an example with Joseph. Joseph went down as a slave unto Potiphar's house, and Potiphar's house prospered because of Joseph. Okay, because of Joseph's intelligence, because the Lord was with Joseph. Okay, this happened throughout history. It's happened even in the United States. Okay, the United States was receiving all these things because we were here and because of the works of our hands who built this country. All right, go ahead.
Verse 3. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. Verse 4. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had put into his hand.
Have you noticed every time that one of our, especially throughout the Bible, when we go into a captivity, one of our people usually becomes the right hand. Okay, you got to think of Daniel when he was down in Babylon. They saw that the spirit of the Most High was in Daniel, and Daniel pretty much became, pretty much one of the highest rulers or highest ranking people in Babylon. It's the same thing with Joseph here. Okay, they saw that the Lord was with Joseph, and they saw that pretty much if we use this man right here, our houses will be blessed. All right, excellent work. Excellent reading. All right, just the people up here. I'm Maria. Officer Gana, present thyself in thy registry. Wait. You shot me. Okay, we're going to be reading Genesis chapter 39. We're going to be reading verses 5 through 11. We're going to read that in the Hebrew first. Genesis chapter 39, verse 5. Wayahaya, Ma'az, Hapa, Quayad, Aqua, Baba Yahwa, Wa'al, Kal, Ashar, Yash, Lawa, Waya Barak, Yahwa, Bayah, Hamatazaria, Baba Lal, Bagalal, like Yawasa, Wayahaya, Barakaf, Yahwa, Bakal, Ashar, Yasha, Lawa, Baba Yah, Baba Shada. Verse, where are we going to? Verse
5 to 11.
Verse 6. Waya Izab, Call, Ashar, Lawa, Bayad, Yawasa, Wala'a, Yadai, Akla, Wama, Kaya, Halaham, Ashar, Awa'am, Awakal, Wayahaya, Yawasa, Yapab, Tha'ar, Wayapab, Mara'aha. Verse 7. Wayahaya, Akar, the Barium, Allah, with a Shah, Adanyawa, Ayanya, Al, Yawasa, with a Amar, Shakaba, Anya. Verse 8. Verse 8. Waya Ma'an, Waya Amar, Al, Ashaf, Adanyawa, Hun, Adanya, La'a, Yadai, Afya, Laha. That's like your Ma, Babaya, Wakal, Ashar, Yashab, Lawa, Nathan, Bayagya, verse 9. It's like it. Nanwa, Gadawal, Babayaf, Azab, Mamanya, Wala'a, Khashab, Mamanya, Wama, Kaya, Awatha, Bashar, Ashafwa, Awayak, Aisha, Haraiha, Hagadala, as a Waka Ta'afya, Lahayam, verse 10. Wayahaya, Kadabara, Al Yawasa, Yawam, Wala'a, Shamai, Aliyah, Lashabkab, Tazala, Lahayawaf, Aima, verse 11. Wayahaya, Kahiyawam, Azah, Wayaba'am, Habayatha, La Aisha Waf, Mala Kahwa, Wa'ayan, Ayash, Ma'anashia, Habaya, Sham, Babaya. And that's it. All right, let's go and read Genesis chapter 39, 5 through 11.
Genesis chapter 39, verse 5. And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. Verse 6. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had saved the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a godly person, Salakia, a goodly person, and well favored. Verse 7. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me.
Okay, so we obviously need to know that Potiphar's wife was really a whore. Okay, and she pretty much saw Joseph, and she, wanted to be connected to Joseph. One, because she saw the thing, she saw the Lord was with him, and she saw all the things that he was doing, so she wanted to get a part of that. You know how a man gets, up and famous or goes up. She wanted to get the piece of the pie. Okay, but Joseph pretty much was a righteous man. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 8. But he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master's would have not what is with me in the house, and he have committed all that he hath to my hand.
So Joseph, pretty much being a righteous man, his father, he had known the law since he was younger. He knew that you're not supposed to take another man's wife. Okay, you going?
Verse 9. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?
Okay, so you see what type of man Joseph was. He was a man of integrity. Okay, he didn't want to, he didn't want to lower himself with the whore that Potiphar's wife was. Okay, she probably slept with other men too. This was not probably the first time that she had done this. Go ahead.
Verse 10. And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her or to be with her.
Okay, so she really was trying to force herself on. Harassment is what they would call it. Okay, that's actually harassment. But she pretty much didn't, she wouldn't let up on Joseph. This shows how righteous Joseph was. Okay, and you got to think, and the reason why I say that Potiphar's wife, this was not the first time, because you got to think what these heathen nations were doing. These heathen nations, when these men would sacrifice or go to their gods, one of the things they would do would have orgies. Okay, and Potiphar's wife, I'm sure, was right up in there. Okay, so this was something she was familiar with. Okay, especially with a man of great stature, she was like, well, let me have some of him too, because she was used to this lifestyle. Because you got to think, this is why the Most High told us not to go after other gods of other nations, because they would, a lot of times when they sacrificed their gods or worshiped another god, they would have orgies afterwards. That was part of the practice. Okay, that was really part of the practice. And you would have, some other man's wife. They would have swinger parties. That's exactly what was going on. This was going on in Egypt as well. All right, go ahead.
Verse 11. And it came to pass about that time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within.
Excellent reading. All
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Another thing you can add to this is really powerful because, like, when you think about it, this is why the Bible says, separate yourself, you know what I'm saying, from the custom and the cultures of the heathen. When we out in this world, you can see this with the celebrities. You can see Will Smith, the allegations with Smith and T.I. with the swingers and stuff like that. And you think money will make your life perfect, but you see their lives is destroyed because they want to do what the other nations do. They get rich, and then now they want to go be swingers. They want to do all this other stuff, be in the LGBT, their children are a part of the LGBT community because they want to do what the heathen do. And when you notice Joseph, all of us is from the hood, from the streets, or familiar with it. Joseph is somebody that we would admire on the street. If you was in a trap and Joseph was out there and he didn't mess with no other female, like no other man's woman, you would admire that. You would respect him. You would be like, oh, you would trust him. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, I bangs with yo cool. You know what I'm saying? He's smart. He has morals. That meaning like he has lines that he does not cross, right? That you never see him do. He doesn't do this and you don't see him do it. You can be like, yo, that's a man. And this is what we strive for really in the hood. We strive to be like that. When we meet dudes like that, we call them real, you know. I mean, whatever. You know what I mean? We call them that. So being in here doing what the Most High say, this is the type of dude that we would become, that we already striving for. So I mean, I just want to point that out. I always think about that when I think about the certain laws that we got. It's like it's things that we already do, that we already want to do, or that when we see somebody do it, we see them as a stand-up guy.
And that was an excellent point. And if you notice, Joseph said no. No means no, according to no means no, man or woman. And she still did not follow that. She did not. And this shows what type of woman Potiphar's wife really was. No means no. And she still was trying to harass Joseph. All right. Just the people up here. I'm not. Okay, let me get knocked this out. Knock this out, Garam. Present thyself in thy registry. Natazab Garam. No, repeat after me, Natazab. Natazab Garam. Ban Yahawada. Ban Yasha'ala. Ban Yasha'ala. Right. Go ahead and salute. Amadim Shabbat. Amadim. Barak. Yahweh ba sim ya top rock. Yeshabium. All right, we're going to go ahead and read Genesis chapter 39. We're going to read 12 through 18 in the Hebrew, and then we're going to read that in the English. Genesis chapter 39, verse 12. Watha pasha shahawa baba gadwa la amar shakaba anya waya aizab bagadwa waya ba yada waya nas waya taza'a haka wataza. Verse 13. Where am I going to? Verse 18. Verse 13. Wayahaya Kara'asha Kara'a Wata Kaya Izab Bagadwa Bayada Wayanas Haka Wataza'a. Verse 14. Watha Quara La Anashia Bayata Watha Amar Lahum La Amar Awa Ha Baya'a Lanawa Ayash Ibaria La Taza Quat Banawa. That's a bunwa, it's like it. Alya, Shakab, Anya, Wa'akorab, Bakwal, got a wall. Verse 15. Wayahaya, Kashamaywa, Kaya, Haraya, Mafia, Kwalya, Korab, Waya Izab, Bagadwa, Tazalya, Waya Nas, Waya Taza, Aka Wataza. Verse 16. With a knock, Bagadwa, a Tazal, Allah, I, Bawa, I Dunywa, all, Bayakwa, verse 17. What's a Dabar, Olyawa, Kadabaryam, Allah, La Amar, Ba'a, Olyam, Ibad, I Baryam, Ashar, Haba'ach, Lanawam, Latazakwak, Baya, verse 18, Bayahaya, Kahaya Yamya, Quaqualia, Quara, Waya Dazab, Bagadwa, Atazalia, Wayanat, Haka Wataza. It's up to verse 18. Oh, and that's it. All right, we're going to go ahead and read. Officer Corrupt, make sure you help him go through. We're going to go ahead and read. We're reading Genesis chapter 39. We're reading verses 12 through
39 is.
We're reading 12 through, what is it, 18. 12 through 18. Right here, starting down here. Right down here.
Oh,
Right here. Yeah.
okay.
Right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Verse 18,
Verse 12.
verse 12.
Mhm.
And she brought him by the garment, saying that lie thee with
Me.
the lamb,
With
with the
me.
lamb, and garment, and her garment,
In her.
and fled the out with the verse 14,
And
verse
got him.
13, and got
And got him. Verse
13.
13.
verse 18.
Sorry, just for 1 second. Okay, so she even caught him by the garment. Okay, he's trying to leave out. She pretty much
Okay,
takes his garment off. Okay, very forceful. Keep going. Verse 13.
verse 13. And as it came to pass
Uh-huh.
when she saw he had left his garment and her garment
In her hand.
in her hand, and the
Fled.
blood was worth.
Mhm.
Verse 14. First,
That.
first, F,
That.
that, and the,
No, right here. That
that
she
went until the shore of men and the house of the snake,
saying
saying them, how it she as the sort abroad of the end of the Hebrew of the
to mock.
mark of the earth and unto me
Mhm.
to lie with me, and the lie cried with a loud voice.
This is the same attitude that happens to Israel throughout history. Okay, you got to think how the oppressors' women, when they wanted us and couldn't have us, they always yell rape. They always do that, and that's how a lot of black men have been pretty much hung from the tree.
Yeah.
Because the oppressor's woman, when she can't have it, and you got to think too, this is not new. Have anybody ever heard of? Have anybody heard? This is a little history lesson. Anybody heard what is called a nigger caught in a woodpile? Have y'all heard of that before? This is a history lesson. Let me tell you the history lesson it's called a nigger caught in a woodpile. So back, especially when the Great Migration was happening, when blacks were coming from the South going up north, a lot of black men traveling up north, didn't have work yet. So when they would travel up north, a lot of times they would stop sometimes at a house, and it would be the oppressor's house. And a lot of times the oppressor wasn't there. Okay. And he would pretty much go to the oppressor's house and say, listen, I'll just work for money, if I can chop some wood and stuff like that. The oppressor's woman would usually trap him and pretty much say, and this was common. hey, if you don't sleep with me, I'll say you raped me. Okay. And so a lot of times he would be forced to sleep with the oppressor's woman, and she would get pregnant. Okay. And then he would go up north, whatever, and she'd have a chocolate baby. Okay. And that's what they would call a nigger caught in a woodpile. That's where it comes from, because that happened a lot. Slack. A black man found in a woodpile. Slack you, sir. Okay. And that's probably where it came from. Men traveling up north, and that would happen to them. Okay. This is the same spirit as right here with Potiphar's wife. She couldn't get her way. And so she said, oh, well, I'll say that he raped me. Okay. And now he's in trouble. A lot of black men, a lot of men of Israel were unalive because of that same spirit. All right. Keep going. Where are we at?
Verse 15. And it passed to Cain to when heard he lifted up my voice and cried, left his garment and was fled with got out.
So she said, oh, he left his garment here and he got out. And they knew what type of woman she was. They knew she was lying. But you got to think what position she was in. Go ahead.
Verse 16. And she said, lying,
And she laid
it garment by her until the Lord came home. Verse 17. Both was
and
she him according to the words of the saying
Hebrew.
the Hebrew servant which was thou brought unto his same as the unto mock and me
Cain
came as mock me. Verse 18. And it work as the same as the lifted.
and it came
It came as the
to
lift
pass
past and the lifted as the voice of my crowd, as he left as his garment and
with me.
with he and fled thee.
Excellent. You know what? This is actually a good lesson to show we shouldn't mix with other nations, because they're always going to believe their women, first of all, even if they know that their women are lying. Okay. And another thing is if their women don't get their way, we're going to be the scapegoat. Commander General Connors taught us that we are always going to be the scapegoat. Okay. And they've done it throughout history. We need somebody to blame. Well, this was framed this Hebrew servant here. And you got to think that every time we mix with another nation, now Joseph didn't do it here, but when we do, okay, and we think that just because we're with the oppressor's wife, we're at a higher level. A lot of times when we offend the oppressor, he brings us back down to let us know our place, pretty much. Like, who do you think you are? You know, you get these NBA stars, these basketball stars that will be with these women, and then they'll offend somehow the oppressor. And the oppressor, he was supposed to be a billionaire, and then he has no money. Because the oppressor will remind them, like, who do you think you are? Okay, you're not really a billionaire or a millionaire, whoever. Okay, and they always got to show us, you know, that we were never in the in crowd. We were never within that group. And even if we married their daughter or whoever, okay, even if you got a big house with Sally, it doesn't mean anything. All right?
So
Come.
And it's also a lesson like the Bible says that nothing is new under the sun. So this is a situation where somebody is getting accused of a rape allegation. You know what I'm saying? The R word, being the R word, which happens to us all the time. That's how you know this is us right here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing repeated over and over from another heathen. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a lesson like, yo, leave them alone. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't need them. You got all these 12 tribes, different sisters right here. You do not need them. And especially at this time where though it's race, they beefing. the Republicans and the Democrats, people who support Trump, people who don't support Trump. You're gonna get caught up in something, and you're gonna be lost while World War III is going on, and you stuck in a cell and forgotten about, thinking that you with no court case. So you just should just relax and leave them alone. I mean, that is it.
Excellent.
All right.
All right. Sorry.
And it came to pass.
Oh no, you're fine now.
Oh.
All right. Just the people up here. I'm Mario. Antonio, present thyself in thy registry. Antonio, Banya Hawada, Banya Sha'ala, Banya Shar, Allah. Antonio, Banya Hawada, Banya Sha'ala. Mighty Shabbat. With the hands right. Then feet together. Barak. Yahweh. Bahashem. Yahweh Shai. Barak. Atham. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah. Yeshavium. All right, last scriptures for today. We're going to be reading Genesis chapter 39. We're reading 19 through 23, and then we're going to end Genesis 41 through 2. Genesis chapter 39, we're going to read in the Hebrew first. Genesis chapter 39, verse 19. Yahaya, Kamashai, Adunyawa, Tabaria, Ashakwa, Ashar, Dabarab, Oyawa, La'amar, Kadabarium, Allah, Asha, Laya, Abadka, Wayakar, Aqua, verse 20. Wayakwak, Adunya, Yawasa, Aqua, Thanawa, All, Bayat, Asahar, Makwawam, Ashar, Asawarya, Hamalak, Asawarium, Wayahaya, Sham, Babayat, Asahar, verse 21. Wayahaya, Yahweh, Yawasa, Wayat, Alyawam, Kasad, Wayathan, Kanawa, Ba'ayanya, Shar, Bayat, Hasahar, verse 22. Wayathan, Shar, Bayat, Hasahar, Bayat, Yawasa, Af, Call, Asa Yarum, Ashar, Babayat, Hasahar, Wa'ah, Call, Ashar, Aishayam, Sham, Hawa'ah, Hayah, Aisha, verse 23. Ayan, Shar, Bayat, Hasahar, Rahaha, Call, Wama, Bayadwa, Ashar, Yahweh, Afwa, Shar, Hawa, Aisha, Yahweh, Batazalia. Genesis chapter 40, verse 1. Yahaya, Kar, Hadabarium, Ha'Allah, Kata'awam, Mashakwa, Malak, Matazarium, Hawa Apa, Dunyahum, Lamalak, Matazarium, verse 2. Wayakwatazak, Paraiha, All, Shunya, Sarya, Sayaswa, All, Shar, Shakyum, Wa'al, Shar, Payum, Ha'awakyum. And that's it. All right, we're reading Genesis chapter 39. We're reading 19 through 23. And then we're going to read Genesis chapter 40, 1 through 2.
Genesis 39, verse 19. And it came to pass when his master heard the words of his wife, which he spoke unto him, saying, After this manner did they servant to me, that his worth was kindled. His wrath was kindled. Verse 20. And Joseph, master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. Verse 21, but the Lord was with Joseph and shewed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. Verse 22, and the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph and all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the door of it.
So notice how even Joseph in prison was still running things because the Most High was with him. Okay, it just shows wherever our hand touches and we are doing what the Most High is asking us to do, you see what happens. Joseph was all the way in prison. The prisoners were coming to him. Okay, excellent. Keep going.
Verse 23, the keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper. Chapter 40, and it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. Verse 2, and Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers and against the chief of the bakers.
All right, so we'll go ahead and continue the story next week. We'll find out what happens to Joseph. Most people already know the story of what happens to Joseph as he's in prison, and then how he pretty much rises in Egypt to be pretty much the second in command. All right. Any questions, comments? All right. All right, just the people up here. I'm money. Go get that home. So I can get. So it's a two weeks with the representative. It's almost full. So kind of so simple. Kind of. Just leave you a little bit of water. Face me. Put your right hand out. And on the chest. Thanks for. Swing your right hand all the way up. And say La.
La,
Yashar.
Yashar,
Allah.
Allah.
Okay, go ahead. Drink. No, that's supposed to be covered. Make sure he's carrying that end. Don't not that end. You don't put that on your chest.
See this part, yeah, on the other side. Right here. Oh,
Yeah, just get it.
right here. Right here. This. Oh,
Just hold on your shoulder. Men of Israel, I'm Maria. Men of Israel, gird up thy loins and prepare to salute the Torah. Face me. Yahweh Bashim Yashab Rakya.
y'all watching y'all stop right here.
Slack it. Slack it. Jump on the camera.
How about y'all stop right here?
y'all watching y'all stop. Yeah.
Bet.
Power. Hashem. Hashem.
Start all over. Let's do that again.
Yahweh. Hashem. Hashem. Abshah. Rakia.
Yeah, we got always I'm sorry. Oh yeah.
Amadi Wapayan. Men of Israel. Amadi Wapayan. Everybody. Amadi Wapayan Hakudam, which means rise and face the east. 1, 2, 3.
Just one prayer.
Come. We're going to be reading the Lord's Prayer first in the Hebrew. Abanawi.
Now,
Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Badah.
Wadah,
Hayah.
Hayah,
Shemka.
Shemka,
Yahweh.
Yahweh,
Wabka.
Wabka,
Taba'ah.
Taba'ah,
Batazayah.
Batazayah.
Hayah.
Hayah,
Aisha.
Aisha,
Ba'aratazah.
Ba'aratazah.
Kawa.
Gawah,
Hayah.
Hayah,
Bashamayim.
Shemayim,
Natan Lanao.
Lamana,
Lakam.
Lakam,
Call.
Call,
Yawam.
Yawam,
Basalat now.
Wasalat now,
Kabawak ya now.
Kabawak now,
The Salat now.
Wasalat now,
Kabawak ya now.
Kabawak now,
Wala'ah.
Wala'ah,
Tabaya'ah now.
Tabaya'ah now,
Banasaya Wam.
Banasaya Wam,
Abal.
Abal,
Hawashai now.
Hawashai now,
Mayan.
Mayan,
Rad.
Ra,
Hayah.
Hayah,
Lakam.
Lakam,
Hamalak.
Walakwa,
What? Say it again.
Waha'ala,
Waha'ala.
Waha'ala,
Wahatapa'ara.
Wahatapa'ara,
La'awalamia.
La'awalamia,
Aman.
Aman, in the English, our Father,
Our Father.
which art in heaven,
Which art in heaven.
hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come.
thy will be done,
Thy will be done
in earth,
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day
Give us this day
our daily bread.
daily bread.
Give us our debts.
Give us our debts.
We forgive our debtors.
We forgive our debtors.
Lead us not
Lead us not
to temptation.
into temptation.
Deliver us
Deliver us
from evil.
from evil.
Thine is the kingdom.
Thine is the kingdom
and the power.
and the power
and the glory.
and the glory
Forever.
forever.
So be it.
So be it.
Psalm, which means to turn. Oh, slide. Yeah, go ahead. All right. This concludes the service. Get that horn one more time. Sisters Yeshabium,
Men of Israel, we're going to give the teacher one courtesy salute. One courtesy salute. Saw which means turn. Men of Israel, Amadi Shabbat, Amadia. Barak. Simeon Shabbat.
Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shabbarakatham.
Yaya Matat. Saw, which means turn. Sisters. Amadia. Which means stand. Men of Israel, we're going to give the sisters one courtesy salute. Men of Israel. Amadia Shabbat. Amadia. Barak.
Yahweh
Yaya Matat. Class is missed.
Good work, Antonio. Good work. All right. That's all right.